Tonight, a woman in North Fort Myers says she's been living through a nightmare these last few weeks after her husband got sick. She tells Fox 4 it wasn't his condition that had her so stressed, but the care he was receiving at Lehigh Regional Medical Center. Fox 4's Rochelle Aline has her story.
The biggest complaint that man's wife had is that she was struggling to get him discharged and eventually moved into a different facility. Well, after multiple calls from her and several calls and emails from Fox 4, he was discharged this morning, but she says she still wants the hospital to answer for the quality of care he received while he was a patient. For one North Fort Myers family, the month of August got off to a scary start.
He ended up having a heat stroke.
That voice is coming from Jacqueline Wright, the wife of that veteran who got sick.
The person calls me and say he's on the ground. They put a pillow under him and they're going to call 911.
Her husband was taken to Lehigh Regional Medical Center for treatment, but Mrs. Wright says from the start she struggled to get updates on his care.
Days go on, you keep calling. It's never anything professional. Never.
And says some of the staff members outright refused to call her back.
I hear her make a statement to him that she don't have to call me back because he's on the phone talking to me.
The heat stroke led to kidney issues, so her husband was put on dialysis in the hospital. Concerned about the quality of his care, Mrs. Wright tells Fox 4 she asked to have him transferred to another hospital, but says the move didn't happen due to an administrative mix-up. And when she complained, Wright claims staff told her that COVID-19 was to blame for the poor service.
Stop trying to make excuses because it's the COVID. Act like you care.
Fox 4 called the hospital for an explanation, and they emailed us the following statement saying, quote, "At Lehigh Regional Medical Center, our responsibility to protect our patients' privacy and confidentiality is our #1 priority, and therefore we cannot acknowledge any request for healthcare information." It's a statement that Mrs. Wright isn't buying because she claims staff breached patient confidentiality after calling her with test results for the wrong patient.
A nurse comes on the phone, on my husband's personal phone, and telling me they're moving him up to a room. Then she says he has COVID on top of the heat stroke. Not even 5 or 10 minutes, I get a phone call back saying that they made a mistake because she recalled me saying his name and his birthday, that the birthday didn't meet the test results.
And now she's calling on the hospital to make changes to how it handles its patients and their families.
It has to be accountability. It has to have care if you're going to be in this field.
And as of tonight, that man's wife tells Fox 4 she's working to get him signed up at a local dialysis center so he can continue receiving treatment. In Lehigh Acres, Rochelle Aline, Fox 4.
We do know being hospitalized or even just going to the doctor can be overwhelming for a lot of people, just the thought of it. So to help out, Fox 4 spoke with 2 patient advocates, one locally and one nationally, about how patients can work to make sure they're getting the best care while they're being treated. And here's some of the tips they shared.
Because there's this high stress in the medical field, especially more than ever in these uncertain times, it's important that we all ask the questions necessary to feel comfortable.
When you're first checking in, usually there will be some type of patient's rights in your sign-in forms.
They also say you can request a copy of that patient's rights form and make sure you read the whole darn thing. And if you feel like you'll need a little extra help advocating for yourself in any healthcare setting, both of the women told us the same thing. They say Google is your best friend. They encourage you to look up local or even national patient advocate groups. Make some calls until you find you've got the right fit.